Okay, everyone, good evening. We can start our class. And yeah, for the beginning, I will share the ballot. With yeah, sorry. Uh, yeah, I will give a brief again. Yeah, profit, working paper subschedule, working paper with schedule, and the amount will goes to the working balance sheet, working profit loss, and the numbers on the working balance sheet and working profit loss will be added in the audit report. Okay, so I will share it again the example of the working balance sheet. Yeah, sorry. So this is the working balance sheet and working profit loss. Yeah, as you can see, this is the financial position accounts. Yeah, the current asset, cash equivalent. Yeah, other receivable, inventory, yeah, prepaid, yeah, working profit loss, yeah, the sales, COGS, selling expense, general administration expense until income, yeah, after tax. And all of this number in here, yeah, in the after audit, yeah, after audit in here, okay, after the adjustment, yeah, the balance will be added to the audit report. And the audit report itself is in the form of Microsoft Excel, like this, yeah, like this, as you can see, yeah, like this. So this is the cover, yeah, this is the cover, yeah. Yeah. So if you preview, you will see the cover, like the actual audit report in idx.com. Like this is the content, yeah. This is the financial position, yeah, like the idx.com. If you ever download the financial statement, yeah, as you can see, all of this is comes from the Excel. The profit and loss also, yeah, the income statement, yeah, this is from the Excel. And all of the number in here, as you can see, yeah, there is a link, yeah. These links will connect to the notes. Sorry, what is the notes? The notes in here. Okay, yeah. This is the change in equity. This is the cash flow. Yeah. This is the notes. Yeah. All of this comes from notes. Yeah. And as you can see, the majority of the financial statement is from the notes. Yeah. There are 34 pages. Yeah, and all of this number, yeah, like I will show you example, yeah, all of this number, yeah, as you can see, this is, yeah, there is a link, yeah, this is comes from the working balance sheet, yeah, this is the account receivable, yeah, sorry, this is from the account receivable, and this numbers in the 2011, 2010, it comes from the working balance sheet, all of them, yeah, all of them. Sorry. And from here, the total of the account receivable will be connected to the working balance sheet in here. Yeah, something like this. Okay, so this is the like we can see in here. Yeah. So practically, junior auditor do these things. Yeah, do these things. Complete until the working balance sheet. And some junior auditor trusted to create the audit report. Okay, this is the practical, yeah, practical for the fresh graduate to have a career in the auditor field. Yeah. After that, yeah, we senior auditor, yeah, supervisor, manager, yeah, you will lead the team, yeah. There are not really practical like this. It's not the field audit. It will become a large scale, yeah, large scope, yeah, and have the responsibility of the team. Okay, so now we go to the chapter 24. Okay, this is chapter 24. Yeah, it's about the completing the audit. So what kind of action, yeah, what kind of treatment, what kind of procedure the auditor have to do, yeah, during the completing, yeah, during the completing the audit before they issue the audit report. Okay, let's take a look. So in for the learning objective, yeah, there are 8, yeah, 8. Uh, in summary, yeah, in summary, this chapter will discuss about this image, yeah, the phase 4 about the completing the audit, and in here you will like know about the new terminology like the contingent liabilities, subsequent events, yeah, and there are the others, yeah. Okay, so firstly, you will need to take a look for the presentation and disclosure audit objective. As you know, yeah, there are 3 levels. Yeah, if you still remember, there are 3 levels of the audit objective. Firstly, in the level of transaction, yeah, transaction class, yeah, and the balance class, yeah, and the end of them is the presentation and disclosure class. So transaction class, the assertion, it's for audit for income statement. Yeah, balance, it's for the financial position accounts, and the presentation disclosure is for the finishing. Yeah, for the disclose your many things, yeah, the information disclosed to the audit reports, especially in the notes, yeah, notes of financial statement. Okay, so you will know about the presentation and disclosure audit objective, what kind of assertion you need to know, and you will learn about the contingent liabilities. You will know about the letters from the client for the client's attorneys. Attorneys is pengacara, ya, pengacara. And you will know about the subsequent events, evidence accumulation. Yeah, we will have take a look for the evidence accumulation, the review. Also, you will need to know evaluate the audit result. And before we issue the audit, we will have to communicate. Yeah, we will have the meetings with the management. And after the issue, maybe we discover some issue, yeah, audit issue. Okay, so this is the chapter 24 learning objective. So firstly, we will know about the presentation and disclosure audit objective, the assertion of presentation and disclosure class. Okay, so this is the assertion. Yeah, as you can see, the most important one is the completeness, because all of the information must be disclosed. Ya, harus disajikan di laporan keuangan, disclose. Okay, disajikan. And this is the others assertion, ya, occurrence, right, and obligation, ya, classification, understandability, accuracy, and valuation. Ya, this is the primary concern, ya, for the assertion of the presentation and disclosure. Okay, and yes, that's the main assertion for the presentation and disclosure. The second, yeah, second, it's about contingent liabilities. Yeah, you need to know about the contingent liabilities. So contingent liabilities, what is the contingent liabilities? In Indonesia, we call it kewajiban contingency. So what is the contingent liabilities? It is kind of liabilities that pending, like a pending, yeah, in the future, yeah, after the balance sheet debt after 31 December, what kind of liabilities that may possibility to to have a liability in the future. So let's take a look first for the condition. The condition that the contingent liability to exist. What kind of condition that contingent liability can be exist? So firstly, there is a potential future payment. Means the company maybe in the future have to pay something to an outside party. So future means after the balance sheet, after 31 December, is there any liability or we have to pay something to outside party? This is called if there is the future payment, the potential future payment, we can call it contingent liabilities. Okay. And also maybe there is some impairment, penurunan of an asset, impairment of an asset, penurunan nilai aset, that result from existing condition. And the second condition, it's about the uncertainty about the amount of the future payment or impairment. Uncertainty about the amount. Okay. Maybe we can say about the tax dispute, sengketa pajak, tax dispute, or maybe someone claim, for the environment cost, because we mencemari lingkungan, but we don't know about the amount, we don't know the exact amount for the cost, for the liability. The outcome will be resolved by some future event or events. Maybe there are some kind of outcome will be resolved because of some future events. Okay, this is the condition for the contingent liability to exist. And for the contingent liabilities in the future, there are 3 levels of the likelihood, kemungkinan, kemungkinan that the financial statement need the treatment. Okay, so the 3 level is first is the remote, likelihood is in the level of remote, slight change. It's kind of almost not possible, will not be occur, hampir tidak mungkin terjadi, or the possibility is very slim, sangat kecil possibility-nya. If the level is the remote, we don't have treat our financial statement. There is no disclosure for this matter. The second level is maybe, or we can call it reasonable possible. Maybe it possible to occur. Okay, for this we need to disclose in the notes, in the notes, about the events and what kind of effect will be affect the financial statement. And the next level is the probable. This is some kind of like 60% up, so maybe high possibility to likely to occur, mungkin terjadi, sangat besar. Because of this, the treatment is we have to make an adjustment, we have to estimate, the amount. If the amount already know, we can just adjust it. But if the amount is uncertainty or unknown, we have to estimate, and of course we have to be disclosed, in the notes, Okay, especially for the estimation amount. Okay, that's for the contingent liability. So it is like, in simple, is what kind of liability I have in the future. What liability will be happen in the future. This is closely related with the principle of accounting. It's called conservatism, if you still remember. there is a terms of conservatism, ya, konservatisme, ya. We need to be careful, ya, prinsip kehati-hatian, ya, konservatif, ya. We need to in accountant must be conservative, ya, and especially for the cost and liability, ya, we have to disclose the probability of cost or liability that maybe can disturb the going concern of the company. Yeah, we have to have this principle, yeah, conservatism, and it's closely related with the contingent liability. Yeah, because we don't know in the future we have what kind of liability will be, yeah, occur, ya, yang bisa muncul. Okay, that's a contingent liability, and this is the example, yeah, in the footnote, yeah, for the contingent liability. Yeah, it is about the claims, yeah, claims, and the estimation is about the $14 million, yeah, something like that. So there is a note, and of course, yeah, of course, if you ever have discovered this kind of event, yeah, this kind of event will can be affect the opinion of the audit. Yeah, can be affect the opinion. Yeah, very. Yeah, because once again, the liability will kind of warning the going concern of the company, ya, bisa mengganggu kelangsungan hidup perusahaan in the future. Yeah. Okay, so let's see in this area, yeah. The left one is the auditor must be concerned about the certain pending liability. And the right side is the primary objective of the auditor to verify the contingent liability. So let's see about what kind of things we need to concern, especially for the pending liabilities, yeah, contingent liabilities. Yeah, it is like the patent infringements, yeah. This is about the patent, yeah. Yeah, like you download the MP3, yeah, illegally, yeah, in the future, and you take the MP3, yeah, the song in your video, and you upload in the YouTube, and YouTube ban you because the sound have a patent, yeah, something like that, yeah, patent infringements, yeah, product liability, yeah, cacat, yeah, or maybe the others action, yeah. This is have a potential for the litigation, yeah. Related to the litigation, hukum, ya, hukum, ya. And it will become like bisa di sidang pengadilan perdata, ya, for this kind of matters. And the others is about the tax dispute, ya, the sengketa pajak, ya. And product warranties, ya, maybe some people have a warranties, ya, claim the warranties, and of course you need to yeah, pay the money maybe, because of the product warranties. It's kind of uncertainty. Yeah, we don't know whether, oh, today will be have 10 people, yeah, claim for the warranties. Yeah, we don't know. Not receivable discounts, it means your not receivable will be discount, yeah? Like kind of impairment. Guarantees of obligation, yeah, and unused balance of outstanding letter of credit. Yeah, if you ever heard about the letter of credit, I will make an illustration. Yeah, letter of credit, or we usually call it LC. Yeah, LC, letter of credit. Usually, it's for the import, export, import activity, for the payment. Yeah, especially for the payment. Payment for the import. So it is like this. This is the company from Indonesia, yeah, and this is the company in the US. So the Indonesia want to buy something, goods in the US company, and if we talk about the simple transaction, the US will give you the goods, and Indonesia will pay the money but maybe if we the US send the goods, but Indonesia company not pay the money. It is have a trust issue in here, the trust issue. And because of that, the bank, there is a bank one, bank publish or offer the facility of LC, letter of credit. It is kind the Indonesia company will pay the money through the bank. So in here, in Indonesia company, will pay the money through the bank. So it is like the US, the importer one, who export the goods will create will contact the bank in the US, their bank, this bank, to publish the LC, to create the LC for this company, who want to buy these goods. And this bank will give the LC for confirmation, verification to another bank. Okay, this LC will be verified, and this bank will tell the bank in Indonesia for this kind of LC. Okay, verification also, and this bank will tell the bank, the Indonesia company who have account in this bank, to menarik uang, to pay the money from this account, from Indonesian company account. So the Indonesia account, the Indonesia company will pay the money through this bank, and this bank will send forward the money to the bank, this bank, until this bank, and the bank of the US company accounts in here, will get the money. This is the LC means, the payment through the bank, and usually it's for the export-import activity. Okay, that's the LC, if you ever heard it. And this LC have kind of issue if the LC itself have unused balance. So there still have a balance in the LC. So LC is kind of like agreement, like contract, contract for some events, for some events. And the events maybe is unfinished, not finished yet. And there is the unused balance. And of course, the unused balance will relate to the pending liability. So it means the Indonesia company have the liability to pay to the US company some kind of money. Okay, so need to be disclosed in the notes of the financial statement. This is the kind of things you have to be concerned about the pending liabilities, especially for this, tax disputes, the litigation matters, this is kind of unexpected, uncertainty. Okay, and the material, and the amount is material usually. Okay, so for the primary objective for verifying the contingent liabilities, first you need to evaluate the accounting treatment on the contingent liability nature. So what kind of contingent liability this company have, and what kind of accounting treatment they will use for this contingent liability? Is it already right? Based on the standard or not? Okay. So this is the primary objective. If the company have already know about the contingent liabilities. Okay. So this is about the classification, presentation, and disclosure objective. The second objective is if the management not already identify the contingency. They don't know. They don't know about the contingency will likely to occur in the future. And that's one of the primary objective of the auditor to identify any possibility of the contingency that the management not identified. This is about the completeness for the presentation and disclosure objective. This is the completeness assertion. This is the classification. Okay. Okay. And what kind of audit procedure for finding the contingency? There are so many technique or procedure to have an information for contingency. First, the basic one is you need to inquire. Tanya ke manajemen. Inquire to the management of the possibility of unrecorded contingency. Oh yeah, one thing. Contingency, liability contingency, the management have the list of contingency liability. And of course, this kind of information need to be told to the auditor. That's why auditor need to inquire whether there are any possibility of contingency. Okay, that's the first one. Second, you can review the internal revenue agent reports for the income tax settlement. This is about the income tax. Penyelesaian income tax. Maybe it's not accurate. Maybe it's late for the payment. You have to review if there any possibility of the contingency. Because if you late, you got the penalty. And the penalty have the exact amount or maybe the date in the future. You need to disclose. Second, you need to review the minutes, notulensi, minutes of director and stockholders meetings, or we can call it RUPS, rapat umum pemegang saham, of indication of lawsuits, hukum, because it's important. It's usually material, and it will broke the reputation of the company. It's kind of costly. You need to pay attention for this kind of issue. The lawsuit. Fourth is analyze the legal expense. Especially for the lawsuit and tax assessment. The legal expense. Okay. And next, it's about the you need to create the confirmation to the attorney, pengacara perusahaan tersebut, because that their attorney have know about the kind of litigation lawsuit that company face right now, in the future, so they know about the contingent liabilities related to the litigation. Hukum. And next is to review your own audit evidence, your own audit documentation, whether is there any indication for the potential contingency. Review your own audit documentation. And next is to examine the letter of credit. So many letter of credit contracts you can examine whether it's when is due, the amount of number, the condition for completion, and so on. So many. Letter of credit. This is the audit procedure to finding if there any contingency exists in the company. Okay. And for the review for the contingent liability and commitments. Okay, so first we talk about the commitments because it's similar with not similar lah, but the condition almost the same with the contingent liability. So it's closely related to the contingency are commitments. So we can say commitment is agreements, agreements to commit the firm to set of fixed conditions in the future. Once again, the same period is in the future with the contingency. Agreements to commit the firms to set a fixed condition in the future. So it's likely what will happen you know what the exact amount in the future from this agreement, from these commitments, yeah, regardless of what happened to profits or the economy as a whole. Yeah, the commitments. So what kind of commitments? Yeah, maybe, yeah, if you have a bank loan, yeah, of course, from the bank loan, if you want to have the money from the bank loan, you need to give some kind of guarantee. Nah, this guarantee give to the bank is kind of commitment because you know the exact amount, yeah. What is the fixed condition? Yeah. Okay. The others is about the maybe the account receivable, yeah, account receivable that likely to occur, yeah, in the future, yeah. So account receivable, the payment you will likely to occur from the client in the future. Yeah, this is called covenant because it's like an agreement in the fixed condition in the future. Future means, yeah, future means after 31 December, after the end of the period. Yeah, after the end of the period, yeah, in the future, what kind of event in here? Yeah, yeah. So we need to find the contingency, the commitments, yeah, in here, because maybe it will affect the financial position as of 31 December. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so next about the evaluation of known. Once again, evaluation of known contingent liabilities. So the contingent liabilities that's already discovered, detected, yeah, identified. You know the exact amount, yeah, the real event, yeah, what kind of possibility that would likely happen to the company. So if auditor conclude that there are contingent liabilities, they must evaluate the significance. Yeah, the significance of the potential liability. Significance means like material. Yeah, usually we have a measurement of amount. Yeah, the dollar amount, rupiah amount. Yeah, it's material. Yeah, the potential liability, the nature of the disclosure needed in the financial statement. Yeah, the significance. Yeah. Okay, the contingent liability, that noun. Yeah. Okay, we have an evaluation for the significance, yeah, the materiality. Okay, and usually, yeah, CPA firms usually, yeah, have their own legal counsel, ya, punya badan hukum, ya, punya kayak badan hukum sendiri lah, ya, konsultan hukum sendiri. Nah, their legal counsel will measure the potential liability from the CPA client. Yeah. So if the client have like litigation issue, yeah, besides from the legal counsel of the client's attorney, yeah, the client's legal counsel, CPA often check the issue of the litigation to their own legal counsel. It is kind of like independent check, independent review for the litigation issue. Yeah, especially for the highly material ones. Yeah, rather than relying on management attorneys. Okay, this is for the review. Yeah, this is about the review. We can review the contingent like this. And the audit procedure for finding the commitments. You don't need to like make a additional or specific because the audit procedure for finding the commitments is already a part of the test in its audit area, especially for the test of detail balance, yeah, TDB, test of detail balance. When you have a procedure to make sure the balance is kind of, ya, wajar, ya, fairly stated, ya, secara tidak langsung, ya, indirectly you already audit the commitments in the future. Yeah, like I said, like an account receivable, yeah, like the account receivable, like the bank loan, yeah, and maybe some kind of impairment, yeah, for the asset or maybe something like that. All of this already include from the test of detailed balance, yeah, for its account. And of course, the auditor should also read the others document like the minutes, yeah, the notulensi rapat umum pemegang saham, any contracts, especially for the long-term one, and the others correspondence files. Yeah. Okay, until here, is there any question about the contingent liabilities? This kind of pending liabilities in the future.
I think not now, sir.
Okay. Okay, I will continue. The third learning objective, it's about, yeah, this is a short one. Yeah. You need to evaluate the letters from the client attorneys, ya, pengacara, dari pengacaranya klien. Okay, so this is the forms. This is like you make a confirmation. You need to ask, yeah. You need to ask about their service to provide like some kind of evidence information, yeah, related to the litigation matters. Yeah. So I will zoom in this. Okay. So as you can see, yeah, this is sent by the clients, but of course the content is from the auditor. Yeah. This is the attorneys, pengacara klien, yeah, Belwick and Beatles, and in here, yeah, the auditor the CPS is come from the Bergen and Anthony. They conduct the audit, yeah, and yeah, for the purpose, yeah, we need you. We believe that its contingency amount in excess of $100,000 will be material, and in total 700,000. Okay, so the auditor means the auditor want the attorney to provide the information, the issue of the litigation, excess of the materiality level. Yeah, $100,000 for each of the contingency. In total is $700,000. And as you can see, your response should include matters that exist at 31 December. So like I told you, contingency, yeah, it's kind of in the future, in what kind of liabilities we still have in the future. So it will be after 31 December until, yeah, in here they want to the attorney provide the information until 15 March, until 15 March. So what kind of contingency happens in here during this period? Yeah, so this is their request, the auditor request. Please provide our auditor of the following information. Yeah, explanation for something. Yeah, explanation for something. Explanation for something. Yeah, so it is kind of confirmation letter that auditor want the attorneys to give some information. Okay. Okay. So this is one of the procedure in the completion auditing. Okay. So yeah, auditor rely on evaluating known litigation, yeah, from the inquiry of the client attorneys. Yeah, this confirmation in the form of confirmation. Now, the issue is if the attorney refuse this kind of request, yeah, the auditor, yeah, must modify, yeah, their audit report, their opinion, yeah, because they lack of available evidence, yeah, like you remember from the auditing one, if your scope limit by the management, by the company, you can have issue the qualified, the unmodified opinion. Yeah, if you still remember, modified opinion, unmodified opinion. you can issue the unmodified opinion because this is the scope matters. Yeah, they can have the qualified, or maybe the worst is the disclaimer, because they scope is limited. Yeah. Okay. So this is the attorneys, clients, attorneys. Yeah. You just need to send this letter to the attorneys, and you got the get to know the known litigation. Yeah, especially for the amount, yeah, because the amount will be disclosed, maybe will be adjusted in the financial statement. Okay, is there any question about the client's attorney?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So, like for example, if we are the auditor, right, sir? Like for example, we are in a company, right? So if the attorney is another party outside from company, so we really need to coordinate with them regarding this matter.
Yes. Especially if there is an issue regarding to litigation in the company.
If in any case, yeah, sir, kan, if there is like lawsuits, usually which one will be have the information first, the attorney first or we first, sir?
Sorry, attorney or where or who?
There's like the two party, right? The attorney and the auditors. Now, if there is like this kind of lawsuits, which one will have the information first? I mean, who will get the who will be informed first, the attorney or the auditors first?
If there is like lawsuit, yeah, of course the attorney have the information first, of course, because this is the client's attorneys. But auditors needs to like confirm the lawsuit, yeah, from the client's attorneys.
I see, sir.
And in worst case, yeah, if the auditor still not believe in the result or the amount from the client attorneys, they can have discussed with the SIP, yeah, their own legal counsel, yeah, something like that. That's the answer. Okay, is there any question?
Thank you, sir.
But small company is kind of, yeah, almost no have attorney in Indonesia, yeah. Yeah, small company, but big company like the public one is have the attorneys. Okay, so next about now, this is the important terminology also, the subsequent events, yeah, or in Indonesia we call it peristiwa kemudian. What kind of subsequent events, yeah, will have an effect on the financial statement. Okay, so like this, yeah, subsequent events is from the client's ending balance sheet, of course, the 31 December, until the date of the audit report. The date of audit report in where, yeah, as if you see about the opinions, yeah, opinions in the audit reports, opinion page. Yeah, from the opinions, the end of the opinion is the signature from the CPA, yeah, from the partner, and below there is a date. Okay, this date is the audit report dates. Okay, so subsequent event, you need to review what kind of event happens in here. All of the events that likely to affect the whole financial statement, you need to disclose. Yeah, so it's kind of the same, yeah, with the contingent liability, but contingent liability only focus for the liabilities. Yeah, kind of negative things. You need to focus on the negative things, the liabilities only. But for the subsequent event, all. So like the positive news, like merger, acquisition, yeah, or maybe there is an increasing of the stock market, yeah, something like that. Significantly, yeah, significantly. Okay, that's the subsequent event in the simple way, yeah. Okay, so what is the auditor responsibility? Yeah, so the auditor's responsibility, yeah, you need to know when the auditors ends their responsibility. The auditor responsibility ends, yeah, ending with the date of the auditor report. In here, the auditor already don't have any responsibility after the audit report issue. Yeah, they accept the results, and you publish the opinion. Yeah, you signature. You have the date of the signature. Done. You don't have any responsibility. Yeah, in this. Sorry, after this date. Yeah, after the 11 March, you don't have any responsibility about all of the events after 11 March. Yeah, something like that. That's the auditor's responsibility. Yeah, but in the special event, yeah, some events have auditor have to respond for the events. Okay, we will talk about it later. Okay, so this is the subsequent event. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, like you see in here, yeah, from the 11 March until 26 March. This is the period for processing the financial statement. Yeah. So as you know, yeah, the public company will not publish their financial statement, yeah, before the audit report already published, because the client will use numbers on the audit reports for their issue financial statement. Ya, angka laporan keuangan yang akan dipublish itu diambil dari angka laporan audit. Ya, so they need some time to prepare the adjustment, ya, the class, maybe the correction, ya, the classification, yeah, the issue that auditor have in the financial statement is like 15 days, yeah. Yeah, like 15 days. They already apply all of the adjustment, yeah, and they ready to issue the financial statement to the public. So that's why if you ever goes to the edx.com and you want to then download the financial statement, the financial statement itself have the date of when it's published, yeah, and the date of the publish is this, yeah, that client issue the financial statement. Okay, next. Okay, so there are two types, yeah, there are two types of subsequent event. Simple. Subsequent event that have direct effect to the financial statement do not have direct effect to financial statement. Simple. Direct, indirect. Yeah. Okay, for the direct one, yeah, they need to require the adjustment. They need to have an adjustment. But for the indirect, they need to be disclosed if it's required. Yeah. Okay, so what kind of example of the direct effect need to be adjusted and indirect effect need to be disclosed like this? If the company declare the bankruptcy, yes, of course, yeah, of course you need to make an adjustment, yeah, especially for the maybe impairment, yeah, something like that. Settlement of litigation, yeah, so some kind of kasus hukum, ya, ada kasus hukum yang sudah selesai. If the litigation already settled, sudah selesai, of course you know the exact amount, ya, about the effect from the litigation, and you need to have an adjustment, ya, about the difference amount before they record the uncertainty amount. Yeah, so they already know the exact amount, and of course you need to make an adjustment. And the disposal of equipment not being used in the operation, or the price below the current book value. So maybe some kind of in the future, in the future, your equipment have an impairment, or maybe your inventory have an impairment, because the price is below your current book value, the market price, okay, something like that. So you need to make an adjustment, you need to make an adjustment mengikuti harga pasar, follow the market price. Okay, that's the like obvious one that you need to be adjust. Okay, and what is the mostly it's about the do not have a direct effect. For the do not have direct effect, you need to disclose the information in the notes, like a decline in the market value of the securities, harga saham, for the investment, So you need to make an adjustment. No adjustment. You need to like give an issue, because it will affect the investment amount for this company, because kind of related to the going concern issue, because it is like, oh, the investment is failed. Wow, this company have a failed investment in the future. You need to disclose this matter, because it will affect the stakeholder decision. Okay, and the issue of the bonds, the company issue the bonds, menerbitkan surat hutang, or maybe equity securities, So they want to make a capital, make some kind of equity, capital equity by issue the bonds, This kind of event have to be disclosed, because it will affect, affect the stakeholders' decision. Decline in the market value of inventory, uninsured loss of inventory as a result of fire, So the calamity, the disaster, the disaster can affect the disclosure in the financial statement, because about the inventory, something like that. And of course the merger acquisition also, you have to disclose this kind of event, because once again all of this will affect the users, the stakeholders of the financial statement, the users of financial statement. Okay, direct effect, indirect effect. This is the example. And for the audit tests, there are two categories of audit tests. The first category, the audit test that like automatically audited because you have done the test of detail balance. So it is like the like this, the contingent liability, because you conduct the test of detail balance, automatically you also check the commitments. The same in here, because you test of detail balance, you conduct the test of detail balance, automatically some kind of audit procedure for test the subsequent event already done, especially for the cut-off and valuation test, especially for this one, this procedure for this procedure can detect, can audit the subsequent event. Okay, so it's procedure normally integrated as a part of verification of year-end account balance. That's why when you conduct the test of detail balance on its account, automatically you also review the subsequent event. That's for the first category. The second category is you perform specifically, to discover the subsequent event, specifically. Okay, this is for to test the completeness, for the presentation and disclosure objective. So what kind of test of the second category this is? You review the records after the balance sheet date. Yeah, so you review the GL, the GL after balance sheet date. January, February, March. You review this kind of GL. What kind of transaction? What kind of events? Occur after the balance sheet date. Okay. Review the internal statements prepared by the client, not audited, subsequent to the balance sheet. So it is like you review their financial statement. Examine the minutes, RUPS, rapat umum pemegang saham, notulensi rapat umum pemegang saham. Is there any issue for the subsequent event? Correspondent with the attorneys, the same, inquire of the management, of course. Obtain the letter of representation. This letter is mandatory. In Indonesia, we call it surat pernyataan manajemen. The main objective for this letter of representation is kind of guarantee, is kind of guarantee for the auditor that this is the management responsibility. This is the statement from the management, about the management responsibility. So also, the letter of representation will not include in any others reports. There is no letter of representation in the annual report. There is no letter of representation in the audit report. No, this only kept by the auditor. Surat pernyataan manajemen. Manajemen representation letter, the same. Manajemen representation letter. Okay. For the subsequent event, is there any question? It's kind of the same with the contingency, but it's all of the events, not only for the liability. Okay, and this is the test, the audit procedure. If not, you need to know also about the dual dating. It's kind of rare event, but I will explain. Dual dating means you use two dates for the audit report. So your audit reports have two dates. The original audit reports, below the signature of the partner, and the date of the subsequent event. Okay. To disclose the work done only that even after the original report date. So the secondary date will be after the original audit report date. Because you found newly discovered subsequent event, that you need to make an adjust, something like that. Okay, so occasionally the auditor determines that subsequent event that affect the current period financial statement occur after the date before the audit report was issued. Occur after the date of the audit report, but before the audit report was issued. Okay, in that situation, auditing standard require to auditor to extend the audit test, for the newly discovered subsequent event. And the auditor has two equally acceptable options. Have two options. First option, you don't have dual date. You simply change the report date to the new date. You just simply, so it is like this, 31 December. You plan to have an audit report in the 10 March, but during this kind of apply for the financial statement issue, in here maybe 14 March there is some kind of events that significantly affect the financial statement. So you just simply don't use the 10 marks for your audit report. You just simply change the report audit to 14 marks. The second option, yeah, you restrict the subsequent event review to matters related to new subsequent event. This option, the auditor issue a dual date audit report. Yeah, so in here, the second option, you use 10 marks and 14 marks for your audit report. A special for 14 marks only talk about the new subsequent event. Only talk about the new subsequent event. Yes, this is the dual dating. Yeah, occur after the date of the audit report, yeah, after the date of audit report, but before the audit report was issued. So, like I said before, like I show you before. Now, in here, this is the audit report date. This is before the audit report issue. So, if the new subsequent event, yeah, held in here, 14 March, you have two action. You have two options. You delete this number. You delete your opinion for this date, and you use this date for your new opinion. Yeah. The second option, you still keep this opinion, and you add another date for the subsequent event. So you have two dates of audit reports, 11 March, 14 March. Before, yeah, once again, before the audit issue is issued. The audit report is issued, sorry. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Is there any question about the dual dating and subsequent event? Subsequent event. Yeah, especially for this, yeah, this example, yeah, merger acquisition, you need to disclose, yeah, the disaster, yeah, the impairment, yeah, issue the bonds, yeah, maybe make a bank loan also, yeah, something like that. Now we can continue. Okay. Next, it's about the accumulate the final evidence. So we talk about the evidence accumulation. So after all of evidence already collect, all of the evidence have to be already accumulated, you need to make a review. Yeah. Okay. So for the final evidence accumulation, you need to do this kind of activity. Yeah, you need to help conduct the analytical procedure. Final analytical procedure. Final means the analytical procedure amount in the financial statement already the amount that's already adjusted from the adjustment journal, the amount already adjusted, and you will make an analytical procedure for the final number after adjustment, and you will see if there any other different possibility of the misstatement or something like that. Okay, and the second, after you perform the analytical procedure, you will evaluate the going concern assumption. Okay, this is kind of important. After that, you need to obtain the management representation letter, like I said before. We will discuss it later. And consider about the supplementary information, informasi tambahan, in relation to the financial statement as a whole. And of course, you need to read the other information in the annual report, because in the annual report there are so many kind of information. Besides the financial number, they have their performance, qualitative information, the other information, and that information may be can affect the opinion of the audit report. Okay, so let's see one by one. Okay, perform the final analytical procedure. Yeah, you will analyze the final number after adjustment journal. Yeah, and you will review. Maybe you will find any indication. Yeah, to have additional audit evidence. Yeah, something like that. So you will perform another audit procedure to make sure the account is fairly stated. Yeah, something like that. And the second, for the going concern. Yeah, for the going concern, you need to make sure at least 1 year. Yeah, 1 year after the balance sheet date. Yeah, is there any going concern issue? Yeah, like the financial failure, yeah, within 1 year, yeah. So you need to assess the likelihood of the financial failure. Yeah. And lastly, you will determine the status of the going concern. Yeah, after all evidence has been accumulated. Yeah. Okay, this is the going concern issue. Next, about the management representation letter. Okay. This is the important one. You need to obtain the written, tertulis, written representation from management. Not oral, yeah, but have to be written. Usually in a letter of representation documenting management most important oral representation made during the audit. Okay. This letter, yeah, prepared by the client letterhead, yeah, addressed to the CPA firms, signed by the high-level corporate official. The letter should be dated no earlier. Yeah, this is important. Should be dated no earlier than the date of the audit reports. No earlier. So after, yeah, after the date of audit reports, to ensure that there are adequate representation about the subsequent event. Okay, I will show you the example of the management representation letter in my case. Yeah. So before I work as an auditor, I used to create the management representation letter. This is for the PT, yeah, ACF in the 2010. Yeah, this is the date, yeah, yeah. Address to the CPA firms. Okay, this is the kind of the letter, yeah. Okay, blah blah blah. Bla bla bla. Oke. Representasi ini dijelaskan terbatas pada hal-hal yang material, ya. Dibanding material tanpa melihat besarnya, menyangkut penghilangan atau salah saja informasi dengan mempertimbangkan bla 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 bla. Oke. Kami menegaskan berdasarkan keyakinan terbaik kami pada 16 Maret, ya, bla bla bla, selama audit saudara, bla bla bla, ya. Laporan keuangan disajikan secara wajar. Ya. Kami telah menyediakan kepada saudara catatan atas akuntansi, notulensi rapat, ya. Tidak terdapat ketidakberesan, ya, bla 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 bla. Tidak terdapat pelanggaran hukum, ya, hutang lain. So this is the representation from the management, ya, in the form of letter to CPA firms. It means this all of this statement comes from the client. Means this all of this is the management responsibility, not the auditors. Yeah, this is the point. Yeah, all of these matters stated in here, all of the amounts stated in here is the management responsibility, not the auditors. Yeah. And lastly, the director will sign the letter. And once again, yeah, this is the lampiran additional info. And once again, this letter will not include in any report, but will keep by the CPFM. Kind of guarantee, yeah, kind of guarantee. Okay, is there any question about the representation letter? Because this is should have obtained by the auditor from the client. Sorry. Mostly in this letter comes from the notes of the financial statement. Yeah. Majority it comes from the notes of the financial statement, but the important one. Okay. Also, I want to show you that besides the management representation letter, we also have a name of the management letter. This is different from the management representation letter. Management representation letter, yeah, is created by the client to the auditor, but the management letter is created by the CPA firms to the client, especially for their governance, ya, tata kelola, internal control, ya, especially for the internal control, ya, all of the kind of kesalahan sistem, ya, tidak bagusnya tata kelola perusahaan, the CPA firm will make a suggestion. Yeah, as you can see in here, this is the temuan. Yeah, this is the effect. This is the recommendation. Yeah, this is the temuan. Ya, dampak, effect, recommendation. Okay, so you need to differentiate. Yeah. Okay. So that's the management representation letter. Oh yes, also you don't confuse you don't confuse about also this. This one is the surat pernyataan direksi, director statement. Kind of also different. So you already know about the three terms. Sorry. Okay. Clients. Clients representation letter or management representation letter. And second is management letter. And this one is the director's statement. All of this is different. Okay. For the director statement like this, this will be placed in the audit reports. In the audit reports before the opinion. Before the opinion. As you can see, this is the kind of statement from the management that they have their own responsibility, and there is a materai in here. Stamp. Okay. Now take a look for the next part. Okay. So for the management letter, management representation letter, there are three purposes for the management representation letter. First, impress upon the management for their own responsibility for the assertion, and remind the management about the potential misstatement. And you, this is the important one, document the response, from the management. So that kind of that letter will be they become the response from the management. It's kind of guarantee for the auditor. But yeah, also yeah, the auditing standard suggests the 4 categories for management representation letter. So in the content, yeah, the content of the management representation letter should be include these 4 components: the financial statement itself, yeah, the completeness of information, the recognition, the measurement, the disclosure, and the subsequent event. Okay. That's for the management representation letter. Next, about the supplementary information. Yeah, as you see in here, yeah, balance sheet, income statement, yeah, cash flow, footnotes, notes. All of this is the basic financial statement. And of course, that's your job to make an audit for this basic financial statement. But also there are supplementary information like the detailed comparative statement, the statistical data, schedule of insurance coverage. Yeah, this supplementary information, yeah, accompany the basic financial statement. And this kind of supplementary information can be used, yeah, for the opinions, yeah, maybe the explanation for the explanatory paragraph, yeah, the explanation for the unmodified opinion, qualified, disclaimer. So you can use this supplementary information to have the opinions, yeah, to make the opinions. Okay, this is the supplementary information. So I will make an example, yeah, maybe for the insurance coverage. Yeah, as you can see, all of the public companies should be insurance, yeah, have an insurance for their asset, especially for the fixed asset, yeah, because as you know, fixed asset is kind of, yeah, expensive, the most expensive one in the asset, yeah, in the financial position. So the fixed asset should be insured, have an insurance. If the company don't have any insurance on the fixed asset, yeah, of course, yeah, it will kind of make apa ya, decision, yeah, for the opinion, yeah, and also this decision from the user of the financial statement, because they feel not safe, yeah, for the fixed asset if ever have a disaster or maybe fraud, theft, something like that will affect the fixed asset, but the fixed asset not have an insurance. Of course, it will affect the opinion, yeah, because it's unsafe, yeah. Okay, this is like if the fixed asset is crumble or maybe demolished or destroy, yeah, yeah, they afraid that they cannot have an operation business because their fixed asset is, yeah, kind of, yeah, destroy, yeah, something like that. So if you have an insurance, of course you have the money to buy the new asset, and you have the ability to, yeah, have an operation of your business. Okay, supplementary information. And read the other information in the annual report. So technically, when you have an audit for the financial statement, they also already prepare for the information in the annual statement. Annual report. They already like have the annual report, yeah, complete, yeah, yeah, maybe incomplete, but they already have a progress in the annual report, the information in the annual report. Okay, the auditing standard require the auditor read the other information included in the annual report, yeah, pertaining directly to the financial statement, because there are many information that can give the auditor information to make an opinion. Yeah, something like in the annual report they have a vision, mission, yeah, strategy, yeah, the expansion, yeah, the progress rate, growth, sales, performance, and many things, information that can be used by the auditor to like measure the risk. Yeah, of course, from the risk we measure the materiality. The materiality itself will eventually goes to the opinion creation. Yeah. So the auditor responsible, yeah, to read the other information included in the annual report that not part of the financial statement. So it is like non-financial information. Yeah, you need the non-financial information to make an opinion in the end. If the auditor concludes that the material inconsistency exists, they should request the client to change the information in the annual report. Okay, but if the client refuse, yeah, the auditor should include the explanatory paragraph. Yeah, yeah, they can still have the modified, but in the explanatory paragraph. Yeah, something like that. Okay, until here, is there any question about the final evidence accumulation? Okay, no. So we can go to the next part. It's about the evaluate the overall audit result. Okay. Once again, if we talk about the results, so we talk about the evidence accumulated. We need to review our evidence. Yeah, is it really already sufficient and appropriate? We need to review. We need to review our audit documentation. Yeah, all the material, class of transaction, and so on. We need to review. How we review the audit documentation? We use the audit checklist. We need to complete the audit checklist. So audit checklist is kind of the question that you need to answer all of them. Yeah, this is kind of the example, yeah, part of the example. Like the internal control, yeah. Has internal control has been educated, understood, yeah. And in here you need to, oh yes, oh no, yes, something like that. And of course, from this checklist will have become the consideration for the opinion, yeah, will be considered for make the opinion. Okay, this is the evaluate the results. So simply, yeah, in the simple, you need to complete the audit checklist. Because in this audit checklist, you can know what kind of quality, yeah, what kind of control, what kind of, yeah, perfect the financial statement, the completeness, yeah, and the others. And eventually you will can decide the opinion. Yeah, for the evaluate results, yeah, okay, you need to have a checklist and the summary. There are two kinds of things that important, yeah, for to evaluate the result. Firstly, the evidence to support the auditor opinion. Second, the financial statement disclosure. So for the evidence supports the audit opinions, of course, yeah, audit opinions related to the misstatement. If there are many misstatements, of course, you cannot have the unmodified opinion. You will have the modified opinion. Okay, and because of that, you need to have the summary of the misstatement like this. Yeah, like this. This is the like the summary of the misstatement. Yeah. Oh, this is the summary for the uncollectible accounts, account receivable, cut-off misstatement, different about the physical and the books, yeah, stock of NAM, unrecorded liabilities, yeah, capitalized, yeah, from the expense, and it will affect the current asset, non-current asset, current liabilities, income before tax. Yeah, and the result, this is the summary, this is the number summarized. And after that, of course, you need to compare to your materiality. Yeah, especially for the performance materiality. Because yeah, this number is below the materiality numbers, yeah, this financial statement still can have the unmodified opinion. Yeah, there still have the probability to have the unmodified opinion, something like that. So you need to have the summary for the misstatement. Okay. Okay, and the second, you need to have the checklist, yeah, for its account to be disclosed. Yeah, so this is the example. This is the checklist, yeah, for the fixed asset, yeah, PPE. This is the question, yeah, the checklist, yeah. You need to answer all of this question, yeah, by conduct the audit procedure, of course. If all of the answer for this question is good, yeah, of course, yeah, they can have the unmodified opinion, yeah. Okay, something like that. Okay, so this is for the evaluate the results. Okay, this you have the checklist, you have the summary. Yeah. Okay, and this one, the steps for you before you issue the audit reports. Okay, audit documentation review, yeah. Yeah, from here you can review your own performance, yeah, your own team performance. Okay, evaluate the performance of inexperienced personnel, yeah. Make sure that the audit meets the CPFM standard and counteract the bias that often enters into the auditor judgment. So it is like review the audit team's works, yeah. Is it the audit team have already conducted the CPFM standard? How about the performance about the inexperienced personnel, yeah, the auditor junior? And how about the auditor judgment? You need to counteract the bias, yeah, the subjectivity. Yeah, okay. This is the audit documentation review. Yeah, so someone review the audit documentation created by the audit teams. Okay. Second, yeah, after the review, usually from the supervisor of the team, they also can be reviewed, yeah, for the engagement quality review. Means there is a independent reviewer, yeah, who has not participated in the audit. So it's outside the team, yeah. So this is the team conduct the audit. This is another person that review the works of the team. In here, audit documentation, this is the team. There is a reviewer in here, kind of the controller for the works of the personnel. In judgment quality review, there is an independent reviewer that will review the works of this team. Okay. Summary of evidence evaluation. Yeah. So like that. Yeah. You need to make like a summary. Yeah, of the evidence evaluation. Of course, this kind of summary will be used by the partner. Once again, the one who can signature the audit opinions is the partner. And as you know, the partner itself not directly participate in the audit field. So they kind of don't know the exactly happen, the exactly situation from the company. That's why before the partner sign the audit reports, the results from the team need to be reviewed. And from this review have the summarize. From this summarize will be used by the partner to make a decision for the opinion. After that, they have the opinion, they will issue the audit report. Finish. Yeah. Audit evidence, evaluate the result, evaluate the overall financial statement. This is the summary. Issue the audit report. This is the steps, yeah, before they issue the audit reports. And the last, sorry, yeah? So issue the audit reports in here, yeah? As you can see, it's in this step, in this stage, yeah. Okay, in this stage, audit report already issued, but the client not yet issue the financial statement, not yet issued, because during this time, sorry, after the audit report date, they have the meetings. The auditors and the management have a meetings, and the meetings call the communicate effectively with the audit committee and management. Okay. So what kind of communication we need to have in the meetings? Yeah, mostly it's about the audit evidence, yeah, the temuan audit, yeah, temuan audit, the audit finding, sorry. So mostly about to discuss the audit finding. So it is like this. Sorry, it is like this. Yeah, I will show you the working paper, balance sheet, and oh my god, sorry. This is after the. Wait a minute. Okay, so I will show you what kind of discussion they have. So this is the working balance sheet, working profit loss. And as you can see, in the working balance sheet and the working profit loss, they have an adjustment. They have the reclassification before they have the final balance, or we say audited balance. The discussion is all of this column, all of these numbers on this column, and all of this number on this column summarized in this list. Yeah, the adjustment journal entry list, the reclassification journal entry list. One by one, the audit findings. All of this is the audit findings. One by one will be discussed in the meetings. Oh, it's only 5 findings. Yeah. One by one will be discussed in the meetings. Yeah. So they will discuss the audit findings. Besides that, they will communicate all of the fraud and illegal acts. All of the fraud. So if you still remember, all of the fraud, yeah, will be considered material, whatever the amount. Yeah, how much the amount, all of the fraud is material. Yeah, so the auditing standard require the auditor to communicate in writing all fraud and illegal acts. Writing, not oral, writing. Yeah. To the audit committee, equivalent regardless of materiality, regardless of materiality. Also, besides the audit finding, fraud, illegal acts, also communicate about the internal control deficiency, the weak of the internal control. In here, the auditor must communicate in the writing significant internal control deficiency and the material weakness, like I shared to you before, yeah, from the management letter, like this. This is the internal control deficiency. Ya, for this example, tanggal tiket timbang tidak sama dengan tanggal delivery order. Ya, this is the findings. This is the effect. Oh, dampaknya fisik persediaan barang jadi sudah tidak ada di gudang persediaan, namun masih tercatat di kartu stok secara sistem. Pendapatan tidak diakui sesuai dengan saat terjadinya fisik persediaan barang jadi keluar. Kind of crucial, yeah. And this is the recommendation. Yeah. So they communicate written, yeah, management letter. In the management letter, yeah. Okay. And for the other communication about the additional information, yeah, and yeah, in the like I said before, the management letters, yeah, these letters intend to inform the client of the CPA recommendation, ya. Jadi rekomendasi dari kantor akuntan publik for improve the client business. So as you can see in here, the clients not only hire the auditor for the financial statement assurance purpose, but the CPA also can have recommendation to give value, to improve their business, to correct the system that incorrect, to discover the fraud, it means the CPA give the value, additional value for the clients. Yeah, that's why it's differentiate about the Big Four and the non-Big Four. Yeah, they have the recommendation to improve the client business. Okay. Okay, this is the communication. Is there any question? Oh, this is the rain. Rain. Okay, now thank you. I will go to the next, the final parts. Yeah. So the final part is about discover the subsequent event after the audit is issued. So in short, yeah, like you see in here, this is the ending balance 31 December. This is the audit report date. This is the date client issued the financial statement. And in these matters, we talk about this one. Event occur after the client issued the financial statement. Yeah, as you as you can see in the beginning of the slide, after the auditor issued the audit report, events after the audit report is not the auditor responsibility, but yeah, although it's rare, yeah, auditors sometimes learn that after the audit financial statement have been issued, yeah, after the audit financial statement has been issued, the financial statement are materially misstated. So if you discover some kind of event in here and it's material, yes, you need to have an issue, an immediate revision of audit report. Yeah, you need to issue the immediate audit report. That's all. Yeah, that's all for the subsequent discovery of the fact after the client issued the financial statement. Okay, is there any question for the chapter 24? Yeah, kind of boring because we don't discuss any account. We only discuss about the facts, yeah, procedure, theory. Yeah. But yeah, this is the process of the completion for the auditing. Yeah, once again, this picture is the summary of this chapter. You need to know about the contingency, subsequent event, yeah, This is the new term for you. Yeah, because this is the important one, yeah, for the completion. They need to be disclosed. They need to be present. So all of the information should be complete. Yeah, including the contingent liabilities, including the subsequent event. So it means including the future events that can be affect the financial statement. Yeah. Okay. So that's the summary of our chapter 24. Is there any question? Okay, if not, I will stop the recording.